Hi there, everybody. I am Matt with K15T, and today we are going to be talking about 7 cool things you didn't know you could do in Confluence databases. We're going to look at some new features. We're going to look at practical use cases that your teams can implement right away to see how databases are much more than just another table. It is so nice to have you on here. Hi, folks in Kissimmee, Florida. It's nice to see you, Barb. Y'all jump in the live chat, ask questions, give directions, make suggestions, all the shins, because we are live. You are here to get value out of this. That's why we're doing it this way. It's not just so you can watch me fail live, although I'm sure you'll get a bit of that as well. If you do have questions, please add #question at the beginning. That just helps us really see those stand out so that I can bring those into the conversation and address those as they're coming in or when they're relevant. And I did say that this is a conversation, and that is because, luckily, it's not just me here today. I am joined by none other than Christina Ristevski, Product Manager for Confluence databases. Hi, Christina. It's so nice to have you here. Y'all, I have done some very cruel things to my guests in the past, like having them join in the middle of the night or early in the morning. But Christina is sick today. And I'm still like, no, we got to do this, Christina, because databases deserve this. So here is Christina showing up and presenting. So we're all going to send like good vibes and well wishes to Christina as she coughs her way through this live stream. Hi, Caitlin in Columbus. Nice having you here on the live stream. If y'all could hit the like and subscribe button, that would be awesome. It tells YouTube we're doing something cool here. It will also tell you when we release new cool things on our YouTube channel. Super exciting stuff. Let's jump right into things. Christina, it's so nice to see you. For those of us who don't know, I know there are people out there who don't know what databases are. I'm just going to show. So there's so much you can do with databases. And actually at K15T, we have this article. If you go to k15t.com/learn, you can pull up our article where we talked about how you can do some like light CRM stuff with Confluence databases. We have a ton of different examples of what y'all can do. Super cool. But this is putting the wagon before the horse. Christina, would you like describe quickly what are databases and why are they valuable?
For sure. First, I'll just say I'm super excited and happy to be here. And hopefully, I don't cough too much and my voice isn't too raspy. But I can explain Confluence databases. They are my favorite Confluence content type. They're essentially like an advanced table. They can be used to store lots of data and also visualize that data in unique ways within Confluence. So that's the 2-line description. But I can go deeper if you want.
Oh, Christina, I know you will. I know you will. We will do some of that. But let's just show everybody, because I would suspect a lot of our folks on the live stream have seen databases. If you're watching the recording right now and you haven't, by the way, Christina, we're getting lots of well wishes in the chat for you to feel better.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know what databases are, pause this video, go to the K15T channel. We have a ton of videos on getting started with databases. But today we're going to focus on a bunch of really good best practices that also highlight some new features that have been added to databases. And we're going to highlight a really great event management scenario along the way, so you can kind of see very practically the power of databases, both in simple use cases and really advanced ones. So I wanted to introduce this really fantastic article that you wrote, Christina, on the Atlassian product blog, where you talk about, well, that's my screen. 7 cool things you didn't know you could do with Confluence databases. And we're going to use this as kind of a base for our conversation. We're going to drop the link to that in the chat, y'all. This is a really fantastic article, Christina, because like you talked about linking databases, which we're going to show. That is like such a powerful thing. And I took a database management class and I still struggle in my brain understanding how to do this, why to do this. But then when I do it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, there are a bunch of good things in there. And I specifically wanted to pull out things that when I show customers on calls, they're blown away by. And some of these things are a little more hidden. So we'll go deep into linking databases. There are some like tricks in there, like being able to bulk edit values that some people just don't know about because it's yeah, a little bit hidden. But I'm really excited. I think everyone will love it.
I'm excited too. All right, Christina, what are we going to look at first?
Okay, first we're going to look at an example of a database, which is showcasing a program overview. So, one of the main use cases we see customers using databases for is tracking a bunch of different work. So they've got maybe some work that exists within Confluence, they've got some work that exists within Jira, maybe they've even set up some goals within what was formerly known as Atlas, but some project goals. And the benefit and beauty of keeping it all within one database is it's super accessible. So often we have like stakeholders and maybe even leadership who don't want to go into Jira to find a specific
Mm,
piece of metadata. This gives you this nice overview of a bunch of different data, and you can extract out what information you think is most important. You can also hide information that you don't think is important. So this is the first example we're going to be going through today. And I also wanted to showcase, particularly in this, being able to add Confluence pages through a database, and also editing some of the Confluence and Jira metadata from a database. So
awesome.
essentially what I, oh yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, this is fantastic because you mentioned Jira. I had imagined there's a few Jira users in the chat. Yeah, using Jira in Confluence with databases has actually gotten really pretty fantastic. So please continue. Show
Oh,
us
that's
everything.
awesome. Well, maybe I'll start with Jira then, because that seems to be, I mean, some everyone's like favorite topic. So this database was built using a bunch of different fields. And again, to set this up, these are some of our basic fields, but we also have our Confluence specific fields here and our Jira specific fields here, and then we've got our database specific fields here. So
And
when
and
I
what
was
you're
pulling
looking
in,
at here are types, field types, right? So unlike with a table where just anybody can enter any random thing, you can kind of, when you're creating your database, designate what kind of data goes in each column, right?
yes, exactly. And that's what is another pro of databases against tables is that they have structured data. And the structured data, one, keeps everything way more organized and neater, but it also allows you to do really cool things like filtering and sorting and creating curated views. Because everything is so structured, it makes that process a lot easier. Um, so when I added my Jira work item field,
Mhm.
you select Jira work item, and that means I want to link something from Jira. You then select your Jira instance, and you can toggle this on or off. For this example, it's on, but I don't really need it to be on because I only have one epic that is related to each project. Now, here's a really exciting thing. Well, I'll get to the exciting thing in a second, but um, once you pull in a Jira work item, what you can also do is pull in what's called Jira work item details. So this is
Mm.
I want to surface and extract out something that has to do with that Jira work item. So in this example, I'll open this up in the field settings. Um, I've put in a Jira work item details. I've created a Jira work item details field. I then want to link my Jira Epic. I want to pull some information out of this field. And the reason we have this here is because if you have multiple Jira fields, we need to know which one you're trying to pull from.
Mm.
So we've only got one field on this database, so it's super, super simple. We're just trying to pull from the Jira Epic. And then you can select from a bunch of different um, like fields from Jira. Now, in this specific example, I want to pull out a signee because I want to know who is the driver of this particular epic and this project. Who is the eng DRI? Now, now I'm going to get to the cool thing. we recently shipped the ability to two-way sync or edit Jira data from a database. In the last couple of weeks, and that expands to assignee, priority, status, and summary. So if I was to pull in a priority field, status field or a summary field, I could edit those as well. But I can also show you how I can edit this from Antonio. I can change it to Christina, and then when I open up that Jira ticket, I can go into that.
You mean the
I see
Jira
that the
work item,
assignee.
Christina?
Sorry, the Jira work item. When I go into
We're all
Jira, I can see
recovering
that
together.
that has been updated with the change that I just made straight from the database. So that is a super valuable tool, again, to minimize context switching. It's something we heard a lot from our customers where they're like, hey, I love pulling Jira stuff in, but I hate that I have to go all the way back to Jira to go and make any of those edits.
So does that mean any change that I make in Jira is going to be reflected in the database, and then changes I make in the database will be reflected in Jira? Is that right?
Yes, correct. However, there may a hard refresh may be involved in the other way around. So if you're making a change in Jira and you come to your database and you're like, why hasn't this updated? A quick refresh and you should see that update come through.
Okay. Amazing.
Now that was editing Jira data. So again, that's a more recent change, but something that has existed for a little while is the ability to pull in Confluence page data and edit that from your database. So I'm going to go through this example in a little more depth as well. I used a page link field. So what this is I'm saying that all the data in this field must be a page link. And then when I created this field, what is really cool on our page link field is the ability to create pages from the database. Now, why is that important? It's so frustrating when you maybe as a content owner or a content manager for a space, you create these beautiful templates, or you say, hey guys, can we please follow this certain format, and no one does it. Now, this is going to be the cure for that, because you can set up some rules so that anytime someone creates a page from your database, it follows a specific rule and it lives in a specific place. So I'm going to go through all these configurations because it looks a little scary, but I promise it's not. The type, you can select if you want a live doc or a page. Location, you can select, oh, I want this to live directly under a specific parent. So maybe that parent is somewhere else. Or dynamic means it'll be created as child items from wherever you're editing. So it will exist underneath wherever your database is. Whereas fixed is hey, I want it to exist in a specific spot.
Got it.
Then you can apply a template. So in this database, this is my program overview, and I want all my projects to be super organized. And that means I need everyone to follow my project poster template. So I can go through here and I can select project poster. And that means every page that gets created from this database gets created with that template. And now another cool thing is this toggle. I feel like it needs more sparkles, this toggle, because it's actually really cool.
But don't they all,
entry.
Though? Come on.
I know.
Come on.
Display entry on created pages and live docs. Now, if you don't know what that means, I'm about to show you.
Yes, you are.
And we've got some other things in here, like allow multiple links, apply default value, add field description. And let's say I am the program manager and I need everyone to follow this specific rule. And I need everyone to make the format of their titles look like this. So I'm going to say, please add project poster links here. Use format project poster ... project name. And that is how, then once I apply that field description, to see field descriptions, you just have to hover over a field. So that's helping give your audience and your database users context as to what they should be doing when they land on the database.
And this is a huge advantage that databases have over tables and even page properties, and we'll talk about those because I know someone asked a question. You're guiding users in so many ways on how to use this with field types, with descriptions, with even a default value sometimes. You're making it easier and easier, including the fact that you can create a whole Confluence page or a live doc right from just entering stuff into a row on what looks like a table. That is such a huge thing for anybody who works with data of any kind, because it just prevents mistakes and it helps people just use your thing faster, which is amazing.
Totally. And it also, I think, being able to have that available on hover kind of helps reduce the like overload of information on a
Mm,
table. I think we often try to put so much in there and they can get messy. Don't get me wrong, I love tables, they have their place, but I also love databases.
yeah. Hover
So
text is
what we're
also
gonna do,
very valuable for people using accessibility tools. So let's not forget that as well.
yes,
Love that.
exactly. So what we're going to do now is we've got all our configuration set up. Now we're going to create one together. So I'm going to click in here. And what you can also do is you can add an existing page. However, that won't have those rules applied. So those rules that we just configured are for newly created pages. So I can search for existing pages or I can go and create a page straight from here. So I'm going to use the format that the program manager Christina asked for. Let's have a look. This is called Epsilon and this. So then I can see that this page doesn't exist. Create live doc, project poster epsilon, and it's being created underneath this page, which is exactly as I configured it.
Love that.
Amazing. And now let's go and open this page and let's see if it did all the things that we wanted it to do. So it should have an embedded entry and it also should have a template. Crossing my fingers, it's doing all that. Amazing. Okay. So this is an embedded entry. So I'm sure everyone is familiar with embedding um, smart links throughout Confluence. You can embed pages, you can embed whiteboards, you can even embed an entire database. But something people don't often know is you can embed an individual entry. And what that does is it takes all of the details within that entry and it puts them in this nice little embed. And it's also two-way synced. So if I know
Ah,
that this status is no longer blocked, I can be like, hey, this is actually completed, done. And now if I go back to my database, it's also updated in here as completed. So huge win for us. That works.
yes.
Um,
Yeah,
so
and
this is
really,
two-way editable. Oh yeah.
really quick, Christina, we had a question. Thanks for waiting, y'all. I'll get you. About what's the difference, or what's the difference comparing databases to page properties? And this is page properties was sort of a different approach to use tables within a macro that would kind of sort of do the same sort of thing here, but a profoundly better thing here is that with a page entry, you get still all of the information that's in a database entry. Or for those Luddites like me, you might call that a row in the table because that's what it looks like. You're displaying them here on the page, but you can also edit them, and that master database is also edited. So they are profoundly more scalable than page properties. And in many cases, I would personally recommend moving away from page properties. That's what we've done within K15T because this keeping all the things in sync thing is so excellent. And that includes if you add a new column to your database. If you add a new column in the database and populate those values, they will also display in all the pages. So just a lot of advantages over page properties. So thanks for the
Yeah,
question. That was a good
completely.
one.
You nailed it as well. I was also just going to add to that. Page property report kind of or page property macro requires you to kind of start in the opposite direction, where you know some things you want to track, and then you have to bring them all together into a massive report. Databases, you start with all of the things that you want to track, you start creating all your entries, and then you can embed that in places. And again, two-way editable. That's super, just one of the biggest pros of databases. And to give you also a real world example of this, We had a customer using who was not using databases, but when I showed him this, he's like, "Oh my God, if I had used this, I wouldn't have needed to go to every page." So they had an employee leave, and he's like, "I now had to go to every page that employee was the driver, and I had to go and update every single page." But he's like, if we had just used a database embedded entry, it would have just been one edit, and then it would have updated every single page that they were listed on. Particularly like when you're creating project posters or you're embedding these entries to be like, hey, who are the drivers? What's the status? What are the dates, etc. And which is essentially what you're sort of surfacing in here. I'll also just
Yeah.
touch on it did add the template, which is great. So it did all the things we wanted it to do. Um, and I also wanted to show off one more thing: status, page statuses.
Yes, please
Am I
do.
still, can we all still see my screen?
No,
Okay.
I'm not doing my job, Christina.
No, that's all good. I just didn't want people to miss the magic.
No, yeah, no.
Um, So now if I go to status, which again, if people aren't aware, it's a great way to indicate how ready a page is, whether it's been reviewed or whether it's still in progress. We use
Mm-hmm.
them a lot at Atlassian. And I'm going to say that this page is ready for review.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when I go back to my database and I do a quick refresh, we should see ready
Drum roll,
for review.
please.
Ready for review. Amazing. Here it
Oh,
is in its
yeah.
glory. Now, that was changing it from a page, but I also want everyone to know that you can change it from the database. Maybe I looked at it and I was like, guys, this is actually not ready for review. You're going back to in progress. Now, when we go back to project poster epsilon, we should see that it is back to in progress. And it's also in progress here. So again, two-way syncing on that's on page statuses. We also have two-way syncing available on page labels. So I know labels are commonly used throughout our customer base. And so you can also add those from a database and also update those on a page and see it reflected in the database. So
This
that
is
is,
so excellent.
yeah,
I
that's
love
it.
seeing, you know, I'm using Jira, I'm using Pages, and from one database, I can both see the things that are coming from those different tools, content types, and I can change them from here. Oh, it's so delicious. It's so wonderful. Christina, before we move on to the next thing that you want to show, I have a few questions, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, let's
Um,
do it.
I got some great questions from Nicola. Wondering if the capability to change fields will be available for all Jira fields specifically. Can you also use Jira custom fields? So the ability to add those and show them in a database and also update them. Does that work with custom fields?
You can add them and service them, pardon me, in the database. We only allow editing for those four fields that I mentioned, which were assignee, priority, status, and summary. So that doesn't extend out to custom fields, although that was just our first step. So it's something that we'll definitely be looking into expanding that out.
Okay, excellent. There was a comment in the chat about it just someone pointed out you can move that entry, the database entry macro that shows up on the page. You can put that anywhere. So if you want to put that on the bottom of the page or in the middle of the page, you can. Just to point that out to everybody. Another question, Christina. Will we be able to trigger robo automations based on field changes in a database?
Oh, such a good question. At the moment, no, unfortunately not.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that we are looking at deeply, because we know that it is something that a lot of our users are after. So I would say that one is a little further down, on the timeline.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Tammy in the chat
But
also is like, when will Rovo be able to read a database? It can't right now. But Christina
that's
knows
coming
everybody.
soon. So Rovo being able to, we're actively working on, yeah, some being able to generate, edit insights from a database using Rovo. So um, hopefully that answers some questions.
Excellent. Bentley points out the page entry takes, or the database entry takes a lot of space on the page. Will there be any like abilities to like customize that or like condense it or change the way it displays it all in the future?
Yeah, another great question. And that is also something we're working on, not to sound like a broken record. We're actually at the moment trying to reimagine what our database embed looks like because we know it's super clunky for people. We put that entire database into a tiny viewport and a lot of people are like, hold, I can't even scroll. Like anyway. So we're trying to make that feel a little better and obviously, we're going to extend that out to when you embed an entry as well, because we know that that is also super powerful. And then when we extend that out, we'll also be looking at how can you configure what's shown, because often people have these databases of like 20, 30 fields, and they're like, I only really need to embed like the top three or the first
Yeah,
four, or
yeah,
like
yeah.
these specific fields. Yeah.
Yeah, or even like this is the field that matters. I want this to be big. The other ones like they could be
Yeah.
hidden or expandable. Yeah, that would be really
Yes.
lovely.
Yeah.
Could you show us? Roxana is wondering. Can you add notes to the changes you make in a database?
In what sense? Like you can add a text field to add your own notes. Is that what you're referring
So
to, or
I'm
do you
betting
referring to
Roxana is looking for
comments?
something like fully like a, I've made a change. Here is a comment, like you can with when you publish a
Uh,
page, right? So you're not going to be able to do that, but you could show us how to at least add comments in a database because that's a thing we could do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely also a great way to communicate with folks and collaborate with your team is to leave comments. So yeah, you can leave a comment on here saying, moved this back to in progress. Please take a look. And you can tag people. I can tag Aya and say, and then on that, you can open that up. It will show you how many comments have been left on that particular cell.
Excellent. Excellent. So not like a full like if you're looking Roxana to like um audit all the changes made to a database, you're not going to find a full audit log of that, but you do have the commenting at least. And you can look at resolved comments, so you have some of that. Some of that. All right. So, Christina, we did a poll and 50% of the people in our audience have used databases before. That means we're talking to 50% of people. So 29% are here to learn how, and 21% just haven't. But hopefully they will also be interested in learning how. So it's a good 50-50. So there's 50% of the people in the chat who probably know more than me about databases, but not more than you, obviously. Right? We
Not
say.
more than me. No. No, I am the database wizard. No, honestly,
It's true.
sometimes customers are teaching me things because they are doing amazing stuff with databases and I love to hear about it.
I love it when that happens. All right, Christina, are we going to talk about linking databases right now? Because we have exactly 30 minutes left and it's kind of been burning on my mind. But where are we going
Totally.
next?
Um, okay, I just wanted to also quickly share one more thing.
Hmm.
So we were talking about embedding database entries on pages. Um, and I just wanted to show everyone another way to do that from the database is you can just hit copy link. So all I did was just selected the checkbox, hit copy link, and then I can
Hmm.
paste that link gets copied to a clipboard. You can just paste it on a page, again, wherever you want in the page, top, middle, bottom. You can also embed it on a whiteboard. And that should also work. But that was just a thing that I really had to get off my chest. But that's another way to
Fantastic.
do it.
I have not seen that black toolbar at the bottom. So that is like really amazing. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we've got all of our new oh, this is our new action bar. But yeah.
Christina, you're so full
Okay.
of surprises.
Okay, let's talk about linking databases. So something that I think is super helpful when you want to set up database links, links between databases, is to first think about what do you want to track and sort of map that out first. So I am planning an event, essentially like a big conference, and I've
Wild.
got a bunch of sessions, some speaking sessions. I also have a bunch of speakers, and then I also know that I'm going to have some feedback after this conference. So I know I'm going to start by writing out what are the things that I know I want to track to do with my sessions. So I know I'm going to have session title. This is what's going to go into my database. I know I'm
Okay,
going to
this is
have
useful.
this
These are the
a
fields I
session
would put in
track.
my like janky table if I was making a table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Session location. What room is it in? I
Oh
want
yeah.
to know session time, session date, because this is going over 2 days. I also want to know who's the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Maybe I need a link. I also want to know what are they even speaking about? What's their abstract? Like, give me a
Mm.
page about what they're talking about. So that's what I want to do for my sessions.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. As a Diva speaker, I want to field for speaker requirements because I need non-carbonated water because don't speak with carbonated water. The burps are terrible. Like, what about that?
That's going to come in the
Okay.
speaker database.
Okay.
So
That's
this
where we
is all
put the
about
Diva stuff.
sessions, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So
I'm
we're going to
sorry.
make this one a little different.
Okay.
This is going to be the speaker database. So what information do I care about for my speakers? I
Mm.
want to know their name, what company they're at. I want to know what's their bio, what role do they play, maybe a headshot, like an image. I maybe need their contact email. I need to know whether they've booked their travel or not because I'm responsible for all the speakers.
Oh, yeah.
And I also want to know what speech are they giving? Like, who are they? So let's also say we want to link this to their session title. So already, not sure if anyone's noticed, but we've actually linked two things. This should be speaker name, actually. So session title is over here,
Mm.
and speaker name is over here. Well, I'll add these in so it's very clear.
Okay, so from my
So I
perspective,
know,
Christina, that's a nightmare because I now have two tables that I have to manually update because Diva speakers are like, I'm going to change the session title or whatever, or I don't like that you didn't use my nickname in my speaker name. So, ew.
yes. And I think some people might ask why are you doing this in two separate databases? Why don't you just put it all in one? What's the point of linking? And I think the reason you often put them in separate databases is one that probably for different audiences, but it's also a different set of information that maybe not everyone needs to see in this session database. So people who are looking at this database might be like program managers, folks who are on the ground needing to know like who's in what room and when. And this is more specifically for the folks who are looking after the speakers. I need to know, okay, I'm maybe on the website. I need to go and update our website if their bio changes, or I also need to check if their travel's booked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And you might
rather
have
than
one
making,
speaker
yeah,
giving multiple talks. So if they're giving multiple
yeah.
talks, you got to put, yeah, I don't want to duplicate that information. Ew.
Totally. So rather than making one giant database, which of course you can do, there are no rules here, but you could also do this. And then our last database is our feedback database. So here we're going to have a summary of what is the feedback, what rating, because every speech is going to get rated out of 5. And then I need to know what session were they giving feedback on? So session title.
Mm-hmm.
Hint, hint, that is linking from somewhere else. And I want to
Oh,
know who was the speaker. Okay, so this looks really messy. What I prepared earlier is something that looks like this. Here are our feed
what?
databases. Also, shout out to the whiteboards team. They recently added a bunch of shapes. Everyone should go and check them out because they're awesome. And that is where I got these database shapes. But this is super helpful for everyone who needs to just map out what am I trying to track? Where do I want these links to exist? And how are these databases going to connect?
Just a quick
Okay.
shout out to the database team. If you're like, oh my God, these shapes, how, when did these happen? You can check out our YouTube channel. We have a recent conversation with Emily where she shows off all the new things that have been added to the whiteboards over the last few months. So check that out because shapes and new diagramming tools and AI-powered stuff have hit whiteboards. Check them out. Okay, go ahead, Christina.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I think everyone we get, okay, we've got three databases. We want to link them. I'm going to show you what this looks like in practice. So this is the agenda. This is the session database, the first one that we came up with. So we wanted to know session title, when is it happening, what time. Also worth noting, we are looking at combining date and time. You'll notice I used a text field for time, but we want to bring those together. I want to know what room it's in, what talk track it's on, where is it, like what's the type of talk? Is it a stage talk? Is it a theater talk? Is it in a lab? And then I need their abstract. So again, I have my handy dandy page create set up so that when all my speakers add their session abstracts, they know that they need to follow this specific format. They need to use this template, etc. It's going to
So
live right under this
awesome.
agenda, super organized. Now the last thing well, actually not the last thing, but anyway, this is this database. But what I want to show you is this field, speaker. You'll notice it looks a little different, and that's because it is an entry link field. So an entry link field is displaying entries from another database. So you know that we wanted to
Hmm.
create three, and the second database is the speaker database, which I haven't shown you yet. But I've actually already manually pulled them all in because I wanted to say Jessica is giving this talk, Marcus is giving this talk, etc., etc. So once you set up that entry link and you set up what database do I want to pull from, then when you click into a cell, you get the list of um, all of the entries from the other database. Now, one thing that is super important is databases in Confluence, we're not like a true database. However, the first field is kind of like your primary key. So whatever is in this first field will act as the title of that entire entry. So when I go to create an entry link, I know that all of these are the first column, are the results of the first column in the speaker database. So let me show you the speaker database so everyone can follow along. Speaker name, that's my primary key. So these are all the things that we just saw in that drop down that was available before. Um, so this is my database for all of my speakers. So I've got their name, company role, headshot. And again, I'm using my entry link because I'm linking the two databases.
Hmm.
I have created an entry link and I selected Summit Event Agenda because that was the last database I just showed. And then again, when I click in here, I can select, I know Alex Johnson, he's giving the mission control talk. And then those two entries are linked and I don't need to do really anything else. I'm like, cool, this is all linked. This is great. Um, what you can also do is pull in any extra details about that entry. So maybe the talk session, the title, isn't enough for me to really understand enough about their talk. And maybe the folks looking after the speakers are like, hey, we need to know what day is everyone speaking because this isn't giving us any information. Sure, like we can
Hmm.
open this up and we can see, but that means I have to open up every single entry. So how can we make this a lot easier? I can go and create an entry details field. And it's essentially, as the hover text says, display details from a linked entry from another database. So we're going to do this
Ooh.
live. I need to pick what entry link am I trying to get information out of, and it's the talk session entry link. We only have one. And then here I get to pick from all the fields in that agenda database that I just shared before, what do I care about showing here? I think the most important thing that these folks want to see is the date that they're speaking, because that's going to help them work out have they booked their travel in time, etc. Oh, this guy's speaking on the 16th and he hasn't booked his travel and it's the 14th. That's a problem. Um, and then, of course, you can rename this to be like, I don't know, date of session. And then I'm going to bring them closer together just so it feels nicer. But yeah, this is not editable, this data, because it's a reference to the other
Mm.
database. So if I needed to change the date of this talk, I would have to go to that database to make that change.
Which, can I just click it here and make the change, or do I actually have to, or like, can I click the link to get a view of it, the database, and change it right here?
You can open it up here in this database entry and make the change here. So maybe the talk is on the 16th. And then that should change to the 16th here. But that's because we're opening it up at the source link. Whereas when you just pull it out as a cell, as an individual like piece of content, you can't edit it. And that's also, I guess, sort of semi-denoted by like this entry link, entry details icon. But yeah. I also have one more thing to share about entry links, and then I kind of want to share a little more about this database and some cool things.
Okay,
Can I
fantastic.
do
And I
that?
have a couple of questions about what you just showed. But yeah, show us the last thing, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the entry links before you show us something else.
Okay, I've got one more thing.
Oh.
So, this is the mega mammoth database where I am connecting all of the things from the first database and all of the things from the second database into the third database. So, here is all the feedback from all the sessions. And then we also have the rating that each person gave
Ooh.
the session. And then we have added in an entry link because we want, again, to reference that entry. If I need to know, okay, who gave this talk, again, I can open it up and say, okay, awesome. It was Alex and it was here. What I also did, again, similar to what I just showed, was I used the entry details field because rather than pulling in another entry link, I knew that these two are already connected because we'd already done all that linking before. And I can pull in entry details. Again, select the entry link that I want to pull details from, which was the session. And when I look at all of the fields, I want to select speaker. And that way I don't need to spend extra time trying to find, okay, who did that thing? Let me write their name, etc. So again, that's another thing I wanted to share about
This
linking.
is
I'll
so
pause
cool.
there. I do have some I've got one more thing to share about backlinks, but I can stop there if you want to answer some questions.
You can well, actually, while you're looking at this, one of the questions was, in this example, what if a speaker is doing more than one event? So here, this view it starts to show us really how we can interconnect multiple databases. So what you would want to do, in your speaker database, you would denote all the events the speaker is speaking at. And then you want to make sure in your sessions database, you also, denote which event. So you would want to have a database of events as well that you interconnect here.
Yes, totally. So you could just add another session here, propulsion systems for Alex Johnson. And then if we go to our database here, and let's refresh, we should have, oh wait, if we go to the feedback one, because that's the one where they're linked, we should see both of their names. Let me see how I did this. Talk session. This is what happens in a live demo,
I was going to
everyone.
say, I love this kind of thing. This is great. This is what proves we are live.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
sometimes finding the right solution is to play and explore.
Yeah, let me get back to everyone on that one
All
because
right. All right.
something
All right.
funky's going on. But definitely, I guess the way I set it up was one individual speaker. But it would definitely work if you have multiple speakers for a single session. It would just show up as multiple.
Yes.
It would
Yes.
show up as like multiple links. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to point out, if you check out the K15T YouTube channel, there is a list of use case videos where we show like certain use cases you can do with Confluence. And we do have a use case video about event management with databases. And I believe we do show how to manage multiple events and then the sessions and whatnot there. A couple of others. Where did that go? Is there a way to see connected database relations in a mind map? No, but that's a cool idea.
That would be awesome if we could.
Yeah.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. In fact, Christina, there were a few people that were like, when you were showing this on a whiteboard and you like diagram this whole thing, everybody was kind of hoping you would be like, and now I'm going to use Rovo to create a database from this thing I just drew. So yeah, we got some movie magic for sure, but we'd love to see some Rovo magic as well.
Yeah, hopefully next time I'm back, we can share some Rovo magic.
Oh, okay. Okay. Data querying language. We'd love to see that, just like we can do cool data things in Jira. Also, somebody was like, hey, I'd love to be able to show my database entries in K15T's app scroll sites, but that isn't currently possible because there isn't a public API for databases, which I know Christina also knows about.
Yes, yeah. On the API front, I've definitely, the team is aware. There is a large growing Jack ticket, like a jira.atlassian.com ticket. It is something that we need to first, I think, nail our foundations, I think, before we publicly open up an API. Some of those things include performance. We definitely want databases to be super performant. That's a big focus area for us coming up, especially as soon as you have a public facing API and people can do all sorts of funky things, create super large databases. We want to make sure that we're nailing that experience before we deliver an API. So it's definitely on our radar, and I will give as much of a heads up and updates as much as I can as soon as we have more to share.
Thank you for continuing to ask for these things, people. Thank you for continuing to consider these things, Christina. And now, Christina, would you show us what you were talking about with backlinks?
Yes. So backlinks are commonly misunderstood, and that's honestly so fair. But I wanted to just talk through what exactly they are and a real example of how they can be used. So in this database, I have this is my agenda database. So I want to know, and this is my link to my speakers. I want to know how often how much feedback did each session get?
Mm,
So if you recall, in our feedback database, these are all separate sessions. Some of them had a couple, some of them only had one piece of feedback. But the backlink field just is, I'll explain. It says display where or how many times an entry is referenced in another database. So we know that these entries were referenced in the feedback database. So what we can
mhm.
do is create an entry backlink field, select the summit agenda. Sorry, it's not summit agenda. Select the feedback because that is where it's being referenced.
Okay.
And we can pull in all of the feedback related to this session as smart links. So you could be like, okay, like let me read what this is. I can expand this database a little. Um,
Oh, so each one of these, it's showing all the feedback for that session.
yeah. Or
Oh.
maybe you're like, actually, this is too much. I don't need to see all of this. I just want to see how many pieces of feedback did each talk get. I can change it to
Mm.
number. And then I just know that, okay, mission control got three pieces of feedback. Um, you know, crop growth only got one piece of feedback. So you can kind of choose how you want to display that. So that's just a very simple way to explain entry backlink field. Hopefully that is helpful for folks trying to demystify that field. Obviously there's different use cases there, but yeah, that's just a super clear example I found to understand what backlinking does.
Yeah. Other
Um,
situations where this would be useful would be like if on the food and services side of event management, you're like, okay, we have 4,000 attendees and 500 speakers. How many of this, and this meal do I need to prepare? they've told us what their allergies are, what their meal selection is. I just need to count. I need to know just how many of those meals, and this would be the perfect opportunity for a backlink field that's counting. Backlink back.
Totally.
All right. Fascinating.
Um,
Somebody was asking, can I calculate like an average rating?
oh my goodness, you sure can. So here are all
What?
the ratings. Also something I feel like we haven't really touched on. I'm just gonna assume everyone here like knows how to do filters and sorts, but Um, you can also create different views in a database with different filters and sorts. So maybe I want to see all the feedback here. I want to make a separate view for the mission control people. I'm going to say, hey, Alex Johnson, here is your specific feedback and here is your rating. And I'm going to say, okay, let's check what Alex's average score was. And we can calculate an average there,
Mm.
4.33. And I can expand this. Um, and I can also say, what was the average of all of our talks? 4.175, not bad.
Wow, that is a
So you
very
can do a bunch
valuable
of
conference. Well done.
yeah. So you can do a bunch of things. On number fields, you can do some simple numeric calculations like sum, average, min, max. And then on non-numeric fields, I've actually already set this up to count the number of entries, so that when I am at the top of my database, I'm like, hey, like how many rows does this actually have? I turned on numbered entries in the table layout settings, which for those who aren't aware, that's there, which is super helpful for me to be like row one, row two, but I want to know like how big this database is, so I like did a quick count entries. And then I was getting into non-numeric fields have these sorts of quick calculations. So you can count the number of
Hmm.
entries, count values, count unique values, count how many are empty, etc. Counting empty and percentage empty is really good when you need folks to fill it out and you're like, hey, we're only at 80%. Like I can still see we're 20% empty. So that's super helpful. Um, and then I also have a couple of other things to share, some other cool tips. Is that okay,
Oh, our
Matt?
audience doesn't like cool things that are shared. So sorry, no. Yeah. Yes, please. Please.
Okay, awesome. So, in my oh, why won't this go away? In my blog, I mentioned a couple of things. For example, bulk editing cells. So this is something that a lot of people aren't aware of. What it means is I can bulk edit cells um, within a single field at once. So I can say, okay, maybe this is deep tech, maybe this one's also deep tech, maybe this one's also deep tech, and they've been wrongly um, identified. So what I can do is
Mm.
select, click and drag, edit values down here,
Hmm.
and it's going to give me all of the tags. I can be like, actually, these are all meant to be deep tech. And I can update that, and then it's done.
Oh my God.
Or, so that's one cool way to do it. Again, it's going to mean that they're all going to update to the same thing. What you can also do is this little drag handle here. You can also drag that down, and that's going to automatically update them all. So that's what that little triangle there does. I'm going to undo that as well. So that's bulk editing. Note, it does not work at the moment with Confluence fields or Jira fields. That is something that I just want to flag in case folks try it with Confluence and Jira fields. But it's something that we're looking at, and hopefully we can get to. Um,
Amazing. That
so
would be
that's
so powerful.
bulk editing. Totally.
Yeah. Really,
And then I
really,
also wanted to oh
really
yeah.
quick, Christina. I had a question from someone who was wondering: are there any best practices for managing databases that connect to multiple Jira projects? I feel like there would be
Oh,
potentially a lot of those. Do you have like one or two in your pocket you can recommend?
for connecting to multiple Jira projects, or Jira sites. Was it projects?
Projects.
Okay. For projects, I think that's okay. The only thing I would call out, is um making sure that when you are extracting out um, details, and this is where sometimes people run into problems, especially if they're on different sites, on different projects.
Mm,
Sometimes fields don't align across those things. I could have a field that's called like, I don't know, customer rating in one project or not in another, or not on this site, and then you
yeah.
won't be able to match, sort of marry those up. Um, so in that case, you would need to make separate Jira fields for that. We are looking into our Jira integration with databases because we have seen um, so much interest in it and surfacing Jira data alongside Confluence data. Well, just alongside, like, just in a database where you can leave notes, but you don't necessarily need those notes to go and live in Jira. Um, so yeah, keep in mind it's something we're looking at. But I don't know if I've got any special
Yeah.
tips
Yeah, tread lightly,
for that.
could get crazy would be what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, I would say like for me personally, yeah, because every Jira project can be such a butterfly, you know. So I'm like, I would create different databases. Depends on your use case, of course, but like, tread lightly and share your best practices with us, maybe. Um, yeah. All right, Christina, what else did you want to show us?
Oh, okay. Yes, I have one more thing. Um, so we also recently shipped the ability to run multiple sorts. So previously you could only ever apply a single sort. What we're going to do is we're going to add a new view, and we can call it, honestly, we're going to call it multi-sort for this example. And I'm going to go into the sort. Actually, let's first set a filter. And in this filter, I only want to see, actually, you know what? I don't want to do it on this database. Sorry, I'm switching things up. We're going to call it multi-sort, and we're going to set a filter where the date is December 15th. So we have two dates here for the talk. So I only want to see the talks on day one. Hit create. And then you'll see I can only see the December 15 talks. Amazing. And then I'm going to hit save changes. Amazing. We've got a filter applied. Now we're going to apply two sorts. So the first sort is I want to sort by track. Let's sort by track. And now track is sorted in alphabetical order. But I also want to sort by session title, so that they're
Yeah.
also in a sort of alphabetical order. So there you have it, two sorts, pardon me, applied. Um, Again, I know it seems like basic functionality, but it is a really cool feature. And it just shows that you can do so much with Confluence databases, and sort of create these visualizations and manipulate your data for specific audiences, for a specific purpose. Again, where a table would fall short is not being able to sort of do some of this more advanced functionality. Or if you wanted to do it, you'd have to like create multiple tables. This sort of takes the grunt work out, and you sort of do the heavy lifting for you with databases.
I love this so much. Christina, we're running out of time, which is a shame, because I wanted to look a little bit more at views and layouts. But I will say, y'all, if you go to
Oh,
our YouTube channel, you can look at some of our examples, because one of the really powerful things, you know, I know some of us in the audience are probably the people who are going to be looking at the big databases. But one of the huge values here is with views and filtering and sorting, you can create really cool views that then you can embed in things like your blog post, where you update everyone in the organization on how is the event planning going, and you can show the speakers database, but only show the fields that matter, and show the pictures of the speakers really big, because you can look at a different style, not just a tabular style. So not this is there's a whole other part of databases where you can visualize a large collection of data, but squash it down into what data matters and display it in a much better way. So check out the resources there. Also, you can go to k15t.com/learn to take a look at that article I mentioned earlier about the customer relationship management example. Christina, thank you so much for joining. I've gotten so much great feedback from the chat. People are saying this will help them in convincing the team to switch from data center. Other folks apologize in advance to their director who will be hearing a lot about all of the ways they should be using databases in the future. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and we hope you're feeling better soon.
Oh, thank you. No, thanks for letting me join you. I absolutely love this. And yeah, if anyone has any database questions, feel free to let me know. Or like right now, database community. And yeah, just enjoy.
Thank you so much. As always, as with every other Confluence feature, you can use the feedback button in the More menu in the database UI to give your feedback. Christina reads that directly. Also, you can check out her article that we mentioned at the beginning. It has 7 best practices, many of which we talked about today, but this is a great shareable resource with your colleagues. Y'all, go to k15.com/learn to read all about this, to see videos. Also, subscribe to our weekly Confluence newsletter where we are just breaking down all the latest Confluence news, best practices, interviews, etc. We are the source for Confluence information and learning and best practices, and that newsletter is the way to get it. Thank you all for joining. It has been so lovely to have you all here live. I hope you have wonderful holidays. I hope you're healthy and well. We will see you in the new year. That's why you need to subscribe so that you can join next month for a lovely live stream all about Loom and Confluence. What if you could create in Confluence without using your keyboard at all? We'll talk about it then. Thank you so much for joining. Continue to look at our content everywhere as we learn how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Bye, everybody.